Sea of Stars is a turn-based JRPG with a battle system that I've never seen before, and it really freshens up the whole genre for me. You can see the number of turns before the enemies attack, turns being defined as one party member acting. There are also certain attacks that let you delay your enemy's attack, letting you control the tempo. On some enemies, you see small icons called locks. Every attack has a certain type: moon, sun, poison, hammer, sword, and arcane, and by using the correct one, you can break these locks, preventing the enemy from attacking. If all the locks are not broken before the enemy attacks, the enemy will do a special attack, and depending on how many locks were broken, the attack can be weakened. Doing enough attacks as well will give you the opportunity to do a combo attack. Another aspect of the combat is timed hits, a very common thing in JRPGs nowadays. I don't really need to explain what they are, but I thought it was worth a mention. You also gain MP from basic attacks, another thing a lot of RPGs are doing. The only real downside to combat is that you can't flee. I don't understand why you can't flee. This is a basic thing in RPGs. And to take that away is really dumb. Just make it an ability I can turn on and off. It's that simple. Fights aren't the easiest thing to dodge, and backtracking through the game is required to get the true ending, so have fun with that. Each character has a variety of combos with every other character, some more than others obviously. You can have up to 3 combo stars saved up, with some combos requiring all 3 of them. I didn't use many level 3 combos, I mostly stuck to 2 and below, because I figured why wait for 3 when I can just spam 2s. You unlock these either from story progression or finding them in chests. Then if you use enough combo moves, you fill up the ultimate attack meter, the rainbow diamond around the combo bar. Every character has one of these, and they do a variety of things. From a full heal and delaying the opponent's attack, to doing damage based on a certain type of attack, to one of them straight up doing damage of all types. These are unlocked via story progression, with one party member just joining with theirs. Sea of Stars has been compared a lot to Chrono Trigger, and I kinda see the resemblance, but I never really thought about that while playing the game. The only thing I really see in common are the combos, which is the obvious one to me, and the style of game. It does look like Chrono Trigger, but Sea of Stars doesn't really play like Chrono Trigger. It puts its own twist on it. It was inspired by Chrono Trigger, for sure, but it builds off of what Chrono Trigger did. The level up system is weird, and I'm not sure I really like it. Each character shares the same EXP, so everyone is at the same level the whole game, and they gain EXP even without participating in the battle. Once you level up, you are then allowed to pick one stat provided to give an extra boost to. With this, you are able to make each character unique to you and gives the game a sense of replayability. My only gripe is that each character shares the EXP, even if they don't participate. A good example of this mechanic working well is FF10. Characters do something in battle, they get EXP. Simple as that. And this game has the same switching mechanic as FF10, and it also doesn't cost a turn like FF10. I'm also not big on the game just letting me choose which stat I can boost, but that's just a me thing, I suppose. The feature's fine, I'm just really bad at figuring out what I want each character to be until like the final boss. One stat you don't have to worry about is agility, as you can make characters go in any order that you like, really opening up the game to whatever strategy you need. I'm a huge fan of this, plus letting you swap at any point without penalty gives the player so much control over the situation, not having to rely on RNG. A thing I really loved about the game was the limited healing items that you're forced to carry. You can only hold 10 healing items on you the entire game, and you have to make every item through cooking, though you can find some in chests. By forcing this on the player, it makes the player use the items instead of hoarding them. You would think that this would make combat easy, and it kinda does, along with, gaining MP from basic attacks. A lot of times though, despite me just praising that you have to use the items, I just wouldn't. I guess it was hard to switch my mindset to actually use items, since I also hoard items, let's be real, every RPG player does. And like I said, with regenerating MP, you can just heal with the MP. Sure, gaining MP isn't as much as using the MP, so eventually you're going to run into a situation where you have to use the item. But by that point, it's kind of like too little too late, I guess. You can only cook these foods if you have the recipe, which you can find either in stores or in chests. Finding ingredients is super easy as they're all over the place, and you can even buy them for super cheap. I did run into not having enough ingredients every now and then, but nothing that was game ending, nor did it really affect my playthrough. The little animation of cooking the food too was really cool. And each food takes a different time to cook depending on how difficult it would be. A nice touch that adds to the immersion. Plus you can only cook at a campfire, adding even more immersion. The game looks amazing all around with the pixel art. I love how the backgrounds look as well as they do when you're high up in the sky and you see Earth below you. How it moves around you, it's so beautiful. Characters look really nice as well. Each one is unique and easy to tell out from a crowd. The best designs though are the enemies and bosses, especially the dwellers. The level of detail that went into some of these dwellers is insane. Some of them look so grotesque and out of this world, because they are out of this world, literally. These really took me aback, making me unsettled, causing them to appear as even a bigger threat. The areas also look really good, fitting the atmosphere for each place perfectly. Whether it be a forest, a mountain, or a nice peaceful lake, you feel like you're in that place. My favorite one has to be the Torment Peaks area. This houses one of the evil bads of the game, a dweller, and this place is so creepy. It's so dark, and the music is pretty much non-existent, and the enemies just look like they've been dead for years. Hearing your footsteps as you dig deeper and deeper into this dark horror place makes me feel like I'm in a horror game, like a Silent Hill or something. The OST of this game is phenomenal, the highlight of the game without a doubt. The main composer is Eric W. Brown, and he gets help from Yasunori Mitsuda, well known for helping with the Xeno OSTs and Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Most of my notes towards the end of the game was just, this track rules, this track's awesome, this track's a banger. You have some really nice smooth town themes, the overworld theme is really nice, conveying the sense of adventure and freedom. The level themes, battle themes are so good though. I can't put into words how much I love some of these tracks. The point where the OST really gets legendary to me is when you enter Glacial Peaks. This track fucks so hard, especially given the point at which it happens in the story. Autumn Hills and Kiln Mountain are also really good level themes. For battle themes, the final boss is awesome, the chanting, the fast pace of it really sets the tone of the fight. Romaya's theme is incredible, with the drums, the guitar riff near the end. Oh man, it hits my rock spirit so well, I love it. Another great part of the OST is due to a game mechanic. Some tracks have two versions, a day and a night feature. So essentially, you kind of got two OSTs. The last thing I want to touch on before getting to the story is the minigames. The first minigame is called Wheels, which is a tabletop style game where you attack your opponent to take down their crown. The game works by rolling a slot of 5, then you can choose what to keep. You're allowed 3 spins per turn, so up to 15 potential slots. The things that can show up are power-ups for each figurine, of which you have 2. You also have a defensive wall, which will stop attacks from coming in, for the most part. Once one of your heroes is fully powered up, they will attack. Once someone's health hits 0, game over. If it's a tie, game over. I had a few ties, it was kind of frustrating. For the most part, I really enjoy this as a casual experience to pass the time. It's simple on the surface, but it gets complicated. And to get all the achievements and to see the secret area of the game, you have to play this. I swear though, the AI cheats. I don't know how they cheat, but I know they cheat. The other minigame is a fishing minigame. It's fishing, I don't really need to explain it. You get upgrades later to your fishing line, and this is necessary if you want to catch every fish species. You can tell which fish are in the pond by the board next to the pond. Fishing is also a great way to get more ingredients since recipes take either fish or shrimp. It's very relaxing like fishing is in real life. Music's nice and relaxing, as well as the controls. Before we begin with the story, I do want to say that I'm not going over every aspect of the story, just the main beats. Not all characters will be mentioned, as that would bloat the length of this video. So with that out of the way, spoiler warning for the story. The story revolves around two main protagonists, Valerie and Zale, who are two warriors of the solstice, Zale being of the sun and Valerie being of the moon. Both have been trained for years in order to protect the world from the Dwellers, these evil creatures sent by the Fleshmancer in order to take over the world. There's only one Dweller left in the world, the Dweller of Woe, and our heroes are sent out in order to take care of it alongside their lifelong friend Garl, the cook of the party. Garl's not a solstice warrior, he's just their friend. After defeating the Dweller of Woe alongside Erlina and Brewgraves, who trained Valerie and Zale alongside their headmaster Moraine, Erlina and Brewgraves betray the party, siding with the Fleshmancer, in order to bring back the Dweller of Strife, the most powerful Dweller. They betray the warriors due to never wanting to be warriors themselves, which I guess is a good plot point, because they were just born into this, right? They were literally born on the solstice. So there are hints about this betrayal before it happens, but it's still a big shock because this is fairly early into the game. It's like 4 or 5 hours, if that. After this happens, it's now up to Zale and Valerie to stop the Dweller of Strife. Although things look bleak as Moraine quits because the Dweller of Strife was the Dweller that took out most of the Solstice warriors. Another reason it looks bleak is because Dwellers are only vulnerable during a solar eclipse, which just happened since we've taken down the Dweller of Woe. I do wish the betrayal was given more development or there was more shown about it throughout the game and why or how their actions resulted in consequences potentially. Their motives are clear, but I wanted more of the aftermath. Like, okay, they've quit, what are they doing now? They basically just become background characters, aside from the one fight with them, not counting the final boss or the true ending. Even then, the true ending doesn't really show much. I also forget if it's the true ending or the normal ending, but basically after they betray the party, they're really never heard from again. The goal is now to defeat the Dweller of Strife, and doing it before it becomes a World Eater, which means the end of the world. To do this, we enlist the help of Rashawn, the Great Alchemist, and the narrator for the beginning of the game. After helping him by retrieving his Vial of Time, a device that can manipulate time, he decides to join the party, but has a condition. He's not allowed to interact physically with a Dweller. I'm sure this won't be important in any way. After a brief fight with Erlina and Brewgraves, awesome music by the way, the party makes its way to the Clockwork Castle, where time stands still for all that live inside of it. Side note, I love the concept of this castle, doing science shit for the Fleshmancer, and if they leave, they die immediately, because they would age instantaneously after leaving the castle. I gotta say, world building in this game is really good. You have all these stories throughout the game that you can read upon, and they just do a great job at building the world and the people around it. It's really great. That's a really good part of the game. Anyway, inside the castle, we find a big laser that can potentially attack and destroy the Dweller of Strife, since our heroes still aren't strong enough to do it on their own yet. So we go into the fight, and the laser's just doing its thing, right? Until the Dweller gets the bright idea to just destroy it, which means we can't win anymore. One of our party members, though, Sarai, gets desperate and throws the Vial of Time at the Dweller, causing the Fleshmancer to appear. He does this because Rashawn has broken his promise of never interfering. Here we learn that the Fleshmancer and Rashawn, Fleshmancer is named Aforel, so I will try to refer to him as that from now on. They were once partners, working on alchemy together until they split due to Rashawn helping out the Solstice Warriors. This causes Aforel to betray his friend and create the Dwellers. Now, due to Rashawn's breaking of the agreement, Aforel is allowed to attack our heroes for free. They don't get hit though, as Garl steps in the way, taking the attack head on, causing him to die. But not really. He asks for a flask of borrowed time, letting him fulfill certain prophecies before passing on. This is my first big problem with the story. At this point, Garl becomes the main character for a while, and it never really feels right. I know he got told all this stuff by the Elder Miss, but this doesn't feel like the Garl we knew before. It always felt like he was tagging along, here for the journey, right? Accompanying his friends. He's not supposed to be the leader. He was the bright personality that was basically a surrogate for us. To me, it's the way Garl just kind of starts dumping information out, like we're magically supposed to know what he's talking about, or to even follow along. The game lost me here for a bit, if I'm going to be honest, because it dumped way too much info, way too short of a time. Half the words he was saying I couldn't really understand, or he kept mentioning places that we hadn't been to yet. It was just a mess at this point, and I kind of zoned out. The brief summary here is that we're trying to get to the Sea of Stars, so we can get Aeforol, because it turns out he split the timelines. So now we know that there are multiple worlds, and that Aeforol is trying to destroy them all. So we go back to Garl now. He does all his stuff, he fulfills his prophecy, and he passes away. And the game handles this beautifully. The scene of him dying on the Sleeper's back was a really nice touch. Plus seeing our heroes distraught over this, training to get even better to avenge his death is peak fiction. That's some friendship is the real power here shit, right? That's fucking beautiful. Another nice touch is when you talk to all the townsfolk, they're reminiscing about Garl, how he was a great guy and all this, so it makes the death hit even harder. From here, we enter the Sea of Stars, which is an amazing scene. Great atmosphere, artwork's amazing. We enter the Sea of Stars, we go to a different world, and we find out this world happens to be Sarai's world, who turns out to be a cyborg. In this world, Aeforol has won. There's no sun, there's no moon, cloud cover forever, moon in the ocean. So from here, we free the sun from the cloud cover, we go into the ocean, take out the Dweller of Dread, raise the moon. Zale and Valerie fully unlock their powers, enabling them to fly into the Fleshmancer's lair. After entering his castle and running through various bosses, including a fun one in the Phase Reaper, we reach the top of the castle. The final climb is amazing. You're just running upstairs, building the anticipation to the final encounter. Turns out though, we don't even get to fight him. Instead we fight Erlina, who has now become Aeforol's second in command after the Clockwork Castle incident. The music's great, the fight's fun too, but I don't want to fight Erlina, I want to fight Aeforol, right? Aeforol's the big bad, not Erlina. If it was like, a double boss fight, which it kinda is, because after you fight Erlina, you go up to do the shoot 'em up section with like a World Eater, but that's not Aeforol, right? That's not him. Aeforol just kind of fucks off. So he leaves, we beat Erlina, we beat the World Eater, Zale and Valerie have become gods, and they fly around the planets for all eternity, protecting the worlds, flying over their homeworld every year on Garl's birthday, in remembrance of their fallen friend. After the credits, the game teases a bit more. It teases the Stonehenge-like area where you have to complete certain tasks in order to unlock something. The tasks include getting everyone's ultimate weapon, clearing out the Colosseum. The Colosseum's actually really fun, by the way. I really like the Colosseum. The big thing here is getting all the Rainbow Conchins, the game's collectible. I'm kind of torn on this requirement, because you want people to earn the true ending, right? But this feels a bit much. It's not hard to get all these collectibles if you're using a guide, which I did. I don't care. It took me like 2 hours to get them all, and I had collected about half of them before this, so it's not too bad. Throughout the game, you maybe collect half, maybe a bit more than half, so like 30 to 35 because there's 60. So like it's not a big deal, but it feels kind of a lot. So doing all of that, the ultimate weapon, the Colosseum, the collectible, you get the true ending. Here's where I get pissed off, because Garl comes back from the dead. We do this by going back in time. I hate this. I hate when they bring back dead characters. Keep them dead, right? What's the reason for killing them off if you're just going to bring them back? You ruin the character development of Zale and Valerie because they grew stronger because of his death. They gained new abilities in order to defeat the Fleshmancer, and now it's all wasted, right? He sacrificed himself in order to help them out, but he didn't need to do that because it's like, oh, we'll just come back in time. Like, it's a selfless act what he did, and now it feels kind of ruined. Also tells me that, like, if they fuck up again, oh, we can just go back in time again. Like, the characters need to learn that your actions have consequences. Like, oh, you fucked up with Roshan, hey, guess what? You die. So now we climb the castle again. You head to the top, where it looks like you'll fight Erlina again, but then Garl talks some shit to Aeforol, and now you get to fight him. And I gotta ask, why didn't we just do this the first time? What's going on? Like, I understand Garl was kind of like that guy, I guess, for some time, but still, like, why didn't Zale and Valerie do this? Like, I don't know, maybe it's because they were shocked by seeing Erlina, so they didn't think of fighting Aeforol, I don't know, but Garl also knew Erlina. But anyway, the Aeforol fight isn't even that good. It's the worst fight in the game. It's long, it's obnoxious, it's tedious, it's annoying, it's not fun. My first try of the fight, I gave up after 40 minutes. And my second attempt, the successful one, was 34 minutes. I understand the true boss should be difficult, but it's not even hard, it's just prolonged, right? Because like you have to defeat one phase of the boss before you can defeat the other phase, but you can only get to the phase that you need to defeat after you've done enough damage to the phase that you don't defeat, right? Because he turns into the World Eater once you do enough damage to his human form, right? Then you go up and try and kill his World Eater form, but it's not like your typical shoot 'em up game where you can take as many hits as you want. You can only take a certain number of hits, and then if you take that many hits, you go back down and you have to restart the whole process over. The World Eater does keep all the damage you did to him, but it's just very tedious because it takes like 15 minutes to even get back up there. 10, 15 minutes. It's annoying. And even then, you have to defeat like certain parts of the World Eater's body in order to actually attack the World Eater. So it's like even more things on top of things to even get to fight the dude, right? It's not good. It's poorly designed. I'm going to say that. It's not fun. So you defeat Aforel. Roshan comes out of the portal since he wasn't with the party for reasons I don't want to get into because that was kind of dumb. He shows up, he tells Aforel to leave this world, and both of them depart. From here, it's the normal ending, but the final cutscene is different because Girl's in it now, but I don't care. The true ending isn't worth it, in my opinion. You don't gain much from it story-wise, nor is the fight really good. You don't even really, defeat him, he just runs away. I would recommend just looking up the true ending online and save yourself the time. Play the Colosseum though. The Colosseum's really fun if you like the combat of the game. The Colosseum is really worth it. Sea of Stars is a game that handles its combat very, very well, and the highlight of the game without a doubt. The different ways you have to approach each fight is refreshing in this genre. Sure, sometimes it's just spam a move here or spam a move there, but you have to be strategic and figure things out sometimes, in a way that I haven't had to do before. The game falls flat in the story aspect, and that's a shame, because that's a big part of the appeal of RPGs, are the stories. The story doesn't pay off on some things, undoes other important beats, and doesn't develop some of its characters as well as they should be. It's hard for me to recommend the game, since the story is up and down, but the gameplay is so good. I'd say watch some footage of the game, and if you like what you see, go ahead and play it, but just be warned that the story's not all that it seems to be. Thank you all so much for sticking through this. I really appreciate it. If you want to support what I'm doing, hit up the Patreon. Take care. Bye.